You're standing in a crowded reunion hall, the kind that smells of perfume and nostalgia. A band is playing old songs you once danced to, but the rhythm feels slower now. Someone calls your name from behind. That voice, warm, steady, almost musical, hits something inside you before your mind catches up. You turn around, smile automatically, and see a face that means nothing. They laugh, place a hand on your shoulder, and say, 30 years, and you still look the same. You nod, pretending to remember. But your chest tightens. Because that voice, you know it. You know the exact way it said your name back then, softer at the end, like a secret. Yet the face? Gone. Blank space where memory should have lived. For a moment, you wonder if it's age. Or maybe stress. Or maybe it's something worse, the slow unthreading of your own mind. That quiet, private terror nobody wants to name. You laugh it off, sip your drink, and tell yourself everyone forgets. But later, when the party fades and the lights dim, you can still hear that voice echoing. Clearer than every face in the room. And a question starts whispering at the back of your mind. Why do I remember sounds more than faces? Because you can recall your mother's lullaby, but not the color of her eyes. You can mimic your best friend's laugh perfectly, yet can't describe her smile. You know the tone of your partner's "I'm home," but not the exact shape of his grin. It's small at first, just confusion. Then it becomes fear. Because if the faces disappear, what's left of the people you loved? And if voices fade too, what's left of you? No one tells you that memory doesn't vanish all at once. It rewrites itself quietly. It keeps what it believes will protect you, and lets go of the rest. But here's what most people never realize. Forgetting faces isn't always loss. Sometimes, it's the brain choosing meaning over detail. Choosing connection over image. Choosing the echo over the portrait. Because your mind isn't erasing your life. It's learning what matters enough to stay. And tonight, we'll find out why. They say memory is a map. But it's not drawn in straight lines. It's more like a sound wave, rising and fading depending on what moved you most. Neuroscientists at Harvard Medical School once found something striking. As people age, the brain's face area, called the fusiform gyrus, quietly dims. It's not disease. It's economy. Your brain starts saving energy, trimming details it doesn't find essential for survival. Faces blur first. But the region that lights up for voices, the superior temporal gyrus, doesn't dim as fast. It stays alive longer, more responsive, almost stubborn. Because your brain isn't just recording what you see. It's deciding what you feel is safe. Voices, unlike faces, enter you. They vibrate through bone, blood, and fluid before they even reach meaning. That's why you can recognize someone's tone from a single syllable. And why even with your eyes closed, your heart still reacts before your mind explains. Researchers from University College London once tested this. They played recordings of loved ones and strangers to older adults, without showing faces. Even participants with mild memory decline could identify loved ones almost instantly. Not because they remembered, but because their bodies knew. Their pulse changed, their breathing slowed. Recognition didn't come from logic. It came from resonance. It's not weakness. It's design. The human brain protects emotion first, data second. So when you forget what someone looked like but remember how their laughter rose and fell, it's not that you're losing memories. It's that you're keeping the ones that matter most. Think about how a mother hums before words. Or how an old friend says your name differently than anyone else ever could. Those tiny variations of sound form what scientists call emotional acoustics. It's the invisible texture that tells your brain, this is safe, this is home, this is real. In one Mayo Clinic study, patients with Alzheimer's could still sing along to childhood songs long after they stopped recognizing family photos. Music lived where images could not reach. The brain, even in decline, guarded rhythm and tone as the last link to self. And maybe that's the quiet mercy of aging. That we don't lose love. We just start hearing it differently. You see, memory is not a warehouse of images. It's a choir. Every sound that once mattered, every laugh, sigh, word of comfort, stays layered beneath the noise of daily life. When we grow older, the choir thins. And the voices that remain are the ones that sang closest to our heart. So if you've been afraid of forgetting faces, remember this. Your brain is not betraying you. It's curating your story. It's turning the sharpness of the world into something softer. Something you can live with. Because one day, long after the reunion lights fade and names blur, you'll still recognize a loved one by the way they say, "Hey," over the phone. Or by the pause they take before saying goodbye. That pause, that breath, is how the brain preserves meaning. And perhaps that's the point of memory after all. Not to keep every detail alive, but to keep what made you human. They say memory fades in pictures but lingers in sound. Eleanor never believed that, until the day she realized she could no longer describe her husband's face. Eleanor, 70, Dow Bepg, Portland. She spent 40 years behind the warmth of kitchen stoves, where people came and went like passing seasons. Her husband, Tom, used to visit her restaurant every Thursday just to taste her soup. He'd always whistle before stepping in. 2 notes. Low, then high. Like punctuation for love. After Tom passed, Eleanor filled her nights with routine, kneading dough, stirring pots, setting 2 plates though she ate alone. One evening, a student asked what Tom looked like. She froze. She could picture the shape of his hands, the callus on his thumb, the scent of rosemary on his coat. But his face was gone. It frightened her, that blankness. So she went to the cupboard, pulled out his old apron, and heard it, faint, from memory. That whistle. 2 notes. And for a moment, the kitchen wasn't empty. She began to play the sound in her mind every morning while cooking. The fear of forgetting turned into ritual. Now she tells her culinary students. You don't cook for the eyes. You cook for the sound of someone saying, "This tastes like home." Her grief softened, not because she remembered, but because she learned how to listen again. Samuel, 65, Juan Luyan Veen Tennis, Barcelona. Samuel was known for his perfect serve, fast, silent, almost invisible. 2 years ago, a stroke blurred not only his balance but also his sense of faces. He could no longer recognize his students on sight. To him, the court became a blur of white lines and unfamiliar bodies. It nearly broke him. One day, a student, a teenage girl named Lucia, greeted him. "Buenos dias, coach." Something in her tone, the lift at the end, the confidence, stopped him. He smiled. "Lucia," he guessed. She laughed, surprised. "How did you know?" Samuel didn't answer right away. He just listened again, the rhythm, the breath, the youth inside her voice. He realized he could feel his students more than he could see them. So he began to teach differently. He closed his eyes during practice, training himself to hear the shift of feet, the strain of a swing, the breath before impact. When a serve was perfect, he didn't need to look, he could hear it. The other coaches thought it strange, but his students said it changed everything. Because when Samuel listened, they felt seen. He told them, "You play your best when someone really hears you." Months later, at a regional match, Lucia won her first medal. In the crowd, Samuel couldn't pick her out visually. But when she shouted, "Gracias, coach," from the court, he turned instinctively. And for that split second, it was as if her face had never left his mind. Both Eleanor and Samuel once believed memory was sight. That to love meant to remember faces clearly. But now they live by sound. By tone, rhythm, cadence. Their world shrank visually, yet expanded emotionally. When researchers visited Samuel's rehabilitation center, they asked if losing facial memory made him feel less connected. He smiled and said, "I lost the picture, not the person." And that's what aging really does. It strips away the unnecessary, the surface, until what's left is essence. The voice that says your name. The pause before someone laughs. The sigh that follows a story shared too many times. Those are the things that stay. Those are the things the brain protects when it decides what matters. If Eleanor found peace through a whistle, and Samuel threw a breath on the court, then what about you? What can you do, today, to help your mind remember what truly matters? And let go of what doesn't. You don't need therapy sessions or devices. You need practice, not to improve memory, but to restore presence. Because memory isn't stored in the past. It's built in the present, through small, daily echoes. Here are 7 gentle acts that help your brain listen again. 1. Record the voices that anchor you. Not as a backup, as a ritual. Pick someone you love and ask them to tell a story, read a poem, or just say your name. When you play it back, close your eyes. You'll notice tiny things, the inhale before a laugh, the weight of silence between words. That's where memory lives, in the texture, not the sound file. The goal isn't to save them for later. It's to remember that connection has sound. 2. Speak names out loud. When you look at an old photo, say the person's name softly. Your tongue and ear reconnect what your brain has split, image and sound. Scientists call this cross-modal recall, linking multiple senses to strengthen meaning. But you can just call it love learning to echo itself. Each time you speak their name, you teach your memory, this person still matters. 3. Practice listening walks. Go outside without music. Let the world fill you instead. Listen for 3 layers, the distant hum, the middle rhythm, the nearest pulse. Maybe wind, traffic, and your own footsteps. As your hearing expands, your mind slows. You become less a collector of images, more a receiver of rhythm. This kind of awareness trains the same part of the brain that preserves emotional memory. When you come back home, write down one sound that stayed with you. You'll realize, it's never the loudest one. Pause. Take a breath. Let the silence between these sentences become part of the lesson. 4. Replace screen time with sound time. You can't remember what never engaged you. Screens flood the visual cortex, exhausting the very area that's already fading with age. Try one evening a week without visual input, no TV, no scrolling. Put on an old radio, an audiobook, or a conversation with someone dear. Let sound shape the night instead of light. After a few weeks, people often report a strange peace. The sense that life moves slower, but stays longer. 5. Listen to music with intent. Music isn't background, it's scaffolding for memory. Play the same song every morning for a week while doing a small task. Watering plants, making tea, brushing your hair. Soon, the song becomes a timestamp. Months later, when it plays again, you'll remember the smell of leaves or the sound of boiling water. That's neuroplasticity through rhythm, effortless, emotional. Your brain loves patterns more than perfection. 6. Call instead of text. Voices carry warmth that words on a screen never can. When you call someone, both brains synchronize microsecond by microsecond. A phenomenon scientists call neural coupling. It's empathy in frequency form. Even a 2-minute check-in can regulate heart rate, reduce cortisol, and carve new pathways for social memory. It's not about saying more. It's about letting tone do what text cannot. Pause again. Listen. Maybe there's a hum in your room right now, refrigerator, fan, or your own pulse. That's proof you're still here. 7. Speak kindly to yourself. Every thought you say out loud, even whispers, reshapes the auditory pathways of your brain. So when you mutter, "I'm tired of forgetting," your body hears that as instruction. But if you say, "I'm learning to remember differently," your neurons respond with curiosity, not fear. It's the same organ, just a different message. The brain doesn't understand shame, but it understands tone. The truth is, we don't preserve memory by forcing it. We preserve it by noticing it in motion. The sound of your own breath when you finally pause. The hush that follows someone's laughter. The faint creak of the chair where you used to sit together. Every one of these moments is an anchor. And the more you practice noticing them, the more your brain stops running away from time and starts listening to it. Because aging isn't the art of holding on. It's the art of listening deeper. The hall is quieter now. The laughter has thinned into soft echoes against the glass walls. Someone calls your name again. Same tone, same voice as hours ago. But this time, you don't panic trying to remember. You just close your eyes. You listen. And in that single breath of sound, you realize the voice isn't just theirs. It's part of you. It always was. We spend our lives afraid of forgetting faces, names, moments. But maybe memory was never meant to be perfect. Maybe it was meant to be personal, selective, merciful. Because when the world starts to fade in images, the body remembers differently. It remembers by vibration, by warmth, by rhythm. It remembers feeling seen. Somewhere, Eleanor is stirring her soup, the spoon clinking softly against the pot. Somewhere, Samuel is standing on a tennis court, eyes closed, smiling at the sound of a perfect hit. And here we are, still listening. To them. To each other. To the quiet way life hums beneath everything that seems to end. We don't have to fight to keep the past alive. We only need to listen for what still speaks. Because the body never forgets what made it feel alive. If there's a voice you still remember, someone who changed you, even in silence, tell us below. Whisper their name into the comments, so their echo can meet others here. And if this story found you in a quiet moment, save it. So one day, when your own memories feel distant, you'll have something to come back to. We make these reflections each week, to remind ourselves that aging isn't losing life. It's learning its language. Stay with us. Let's keep listening, together.